Discover the miraculous purpose of your journey with a narcissist, God's divine plan revealed. In the time of Jacob, son of Isaac, in the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, there arose a tumultuous chapter in the land of Canaan. Jacob had 12 sons, but none captured his heart quite like Joseph, the favored son born of Rachel. Clad in a coat of many colors, a resplendent garment woven with threads of vivid hues, Joseph became a radiant symbol of his father's love, setting him apart amid the rugged life of shepherds tending flocks on distant hills. The sun cast its golden rays across the land as Joseph, filled with youthful exuberance, ventured toward his brothers who were occupied with the sheep in Shechem. Yet as he approached, shadows enveloped the hearts of his siblings, scorn brewing like a storm ready to erupt. "Here comes the dreamer," one scoffed, bitterness clawing at their spirits. These were not mere words, they were daggers steeped in jealousy, driven by the awareness that Joseph's dreams foretold a future far greater than their own. Driven by envy, they conspired to snuff out the light of their father's favorite. In a furor of rage, they stripped him of his splendid coat, casting him into a deep pit, a symbol of betrayal that echoed their darkest intents. They debated his fate, greed clenched their hearts as they opted instead to sell him to passing Ishmaelite traders, trading their brother's life for silver coins. Thus, Joseph's journey took a jarring turn, from beloved son to a stranger in an alien land. Arriving in Egypt, the land of pyramids and temples, Joseph faced isolation amidst the strange customs and foreign tongues. Yet the hand of God lay upon him, and he found favor in the house of Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh. But like the transient nature of sunlight, favor waned when Potiphar's wife, ensnared by lust, falsely accused him. Condemned without trial, Joseph was thrown into the depths of a grim prison, darkness surrounding him yet never extinguishing the ember of faith within. In the labyrinth of despair, Joseph discovered that even in captivity, God does not abandon his children. He was not merely Joseph the prisoner but Joseph the interpreter of dreams, a prophet of hope. Amidst chains, he discerned the meanings of dreams through divine revelation. To his fellow inmates, he proclaimed, "In 3 days, ye shall be restored." The cupbearer, eyes wide with wonder, received a glimmer of hope, yet his promise of remembrance faltered with time. Years slipped by, dreams lingering like distant stars in a night sky, as Joseph awaited deliverance that seemed perpetually out of reach. It was a divine orchestration, unbeknownst to him a tapestry woven by the hand of God, setting the stage for redemption. Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select all notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. As the land around them succumbed to famine, Joseph's brothers, oblivious to their siblings' fate, journeyed to Egypt in search of sustenance. What would transpire in that moment? A reunion steeped in past wounds or a graceful unfolding of forgiveness? The truth remained veiled, awaiting the celestial timing of the Almighty to reveal His sovereign purpose through the trials and tribulations of His chosen servant. As the sun rose over the dusty plains of Egypt, casting long shadows upon the earth, Joseph remained steadfast in his faith despite the trials of his past. The echoes of his dreams, which had foretold of lofty destinies and bowing sheaves, lingered in his spirit, igniting hope like fireflies in the night. In the halls of Pharaoh, a great and terrible famine gripped the land, spreading woe far and wide. The people cried out for sustenance, and the Pharaoh, seeing Joseph's wisdom, summoned him from the confines of the prison. "I hear you can understand dreams," he said, his voice trembling with desperation. With poise and conviction, Joseph replied, "It is not I, but God who will give Pharaoh an answer of peace." Thus, as Pharaoh shared his troubling visions of 7 fat cows swallowed by 7 lean ones, Joseph listened intently. The Lord stirred within him, revealing the dire predictions ahead. 7 years of abundance would be followed by 7 years of famine. "Let Pharaoh select a discerning and wise man," Joseph urged, and appoint officials to oversee the land, gathering grain during the years of plenty to prepare for the years of famine. His words rang with authority and wisdom, so much so that Pharaoh said to his courtiers, "Can we find anyone like this man, one in whom is the Spirit of God?" Consequently, Joseph was exalted, second only to Pharaoh himself, wearing a gold chain around his neck and riding in the second chariot, heralded by cries of, "Bow the knee." His heart was neither bitter nor proud, it remained anchored in God's unfathomable purposes. Meanwhile, in Canaan, Jacob, bereft and weary, heard of the bountiful grain in Egypt. As hunger gnawed at his family, he sent his sons to seek sustenance. "Go, buy us a little food," he commanded, unaware that this quest would lead them face to face with their brother Joseph, whom they thought lost. As they approached the governor, their hearts quaked within them, for they did not recognize him, although he recognized them instantly. "You are spies," Joseph declared with a voice that struck fear into their marrow. "You have come to see the nakedness of the land." They trembled and professed their innocence, all the while Joseph's heart wrestled within him how could he forgive those who wrought such pain. In his mind, as they recounted tales of their father and their brother Benjamin, Joseph's spirit became heavy with longing. Yet he concealed his identity, testing their hearts and discerning their transformation. He sent them back with provisions but held Simeon as a pledge, instructing them to return with their younger brother. The journey back was fraught with trepidation and doubt. The brothers recounted their woes to Jacob, who was reluctant to part with Benjamin, but famine's cruel grip tightened its hold. "You must go again," Joseph's brothers insisted, despair pressing against them like the walls of an encroaching storm. God's plan was unfolding, and through every trial, the hand of providence wove their fates intricately together. Yet, what lay ahead was shrouded in divine mystery. Would the brothers reconcile, or would the past's shadows consume them? In the weighty silence of their uncertain hope, one thought lingered: was their journey not merely about survival, but about redemption? The stage was set, but the end remained veiled, awaiting the Master's timing to reveal the full extent of his sovereign purpose. And it came to pass, when they had eaten the grain which they had brought from Egypt, that their father Jacob said unto them, "Go again, buy us a little food." But Judah spake unto him, saying, "The man did solemnly protest unto us, saying, Ye shall not see my face, except your brother be with you." Jacob's heart was heavy, as he looked upon his sons. "Why did ye deal so ill with me, as to tell the man whether ye had yet a brother?" He chided, laying bare the grief in his voice. And they answered, "The man asked us straitly of our state, and of our kindred, saying, Is your father yet alive? Have ye another brother? We told him according to the tenor of these words, could we certainly know that he would say, Bring your brother down? Jacob's spirit sank. If I be bereaved of my children, I am bereaved, he lamented, wrestling with the bitter winds of despair. Yet if survival was to be sought, an offering must be made. The brothers consulted together, they remembered their silver, which had been returned unto them in their sacks. We shall take double the money in our hand, and we will take Benjamin also, and we will go down and seek mercy before the man. Thus, they ventured forth, hearts weighed down with fear and hope intertwined, and arrived once more at the gates of Egypt. Joseph, upon seeing Benjamin, was overtaken with emotion, yet he masked his heart, for the test was not yet complete. He beckoned his steward to prepare a feast for his brothers, who stood bewildered, uncertain of their fate. As they entered Joseph's house, they fretted further, saying one to another, Because of the money that was returned in our sacks at the first time are we brought in, that he may seek occasion against us, and fall upon us, and take us for bondmen, and our asses. The steward reassured them, saying, Peace be to you, fear not, your God, and the God of your father, hath given you treasure in your sacks, I had your money. And they were brought into Joseph's house, where they prepared for the meal that awaited them. With a heart both eager and tormented, Joseph entered the feast. He sat at his table, discerning their faces, the way in which they interacted, and the glimmers of sisterly bonds and familial loyalty playing out before his eyes. And he took note Benjamin appeared as the favored son, Mary's son, his heart felt heavy with both longing and anger. He commanded portions to be sent from before him, but Benjamin's portion was 5 times as much as any of theirs. And they drank and were merry with him, though shadows of guilt hovered in their hearts. But Joseph, still concealed in his identity, devised a final test to see if their hearts had truly transformed. He instructed his steward, "Fill the men's sacks with food, as much as they can carry, and put my silver cup in the sack's mouth of the youngest." When morning broke, and the brothers departed with their provisions, they knew not the trap that was laid, nor the divine mystery that God wove through this tapestry of their lives. As the sun set once again on Egypt, the steward overtook them, accusing them of theft. The brothers were aghast, pleading their innocence. "What shall we say unto my lord? What shall we speak? Or how shall we clear ourselves? God hath found out the iniquity of thy servants. Behold, we are my Lord's servants." And thus, a deeper revelation flickered like a flame in Joseph's heart. The journey was to be one of redemption and revelation. Hidden still in the shadowy veil, God's sovereign hand pressed upon the hearts of these men, drawing them nearer to forgiveness and restoration, yet the ultimate plan rested unwritten before them, waiting to unfold in wondrous grace and divine timing. How would the past reconcile with the present? What would be the culmination of this divine drama? Only time would unveil the mysteries locked in his holy providence. And Joseph, seeing the turmoil among his brothers, commanded them to be brought back to his house. "Stay not away from me," he declared with a measured voice, masking the tempest of emotions within. "For the matter is very serious, and the truth shall be uncovered." As they stood before him, Benjamin appeared anxious, clutching the hem of his garment, while the others trembled in fear, their hearts racing. Joseph's eyes, piercing like arrows, scanned each face, probing the depths of their souls. "Why have you done this?" he asked in a tone that echoed solemnity. "You have stolen my cup, the cup of divination." The brothers, bewildered and desperate, clamored, "What shall we say to our Lord? We are innocent. We brought back the silver, and we know not how the cup came to be in our sack." Their pleas echoed through the chamber, mingling with the heavy air of expectancy. "Let it be, then," Joseph replied, a flicker of resolve lighting his countenance. "Whosoever's sack my cup is found, he shall be my servant, and the rest may go in peace." The weight of his words resolved into the eyes of the brothers, darkened by the shadows of their guilt. With trembling hands, they began to search their belongings, sinking into despair as each sack was opened. One by one they looked into their own provisions, but lo, each was free of the cup, until only Benjamin's sack remained. As they opened it, the silver cup glimmered under the light, a testimony of betrayal and dread. "God has found the iniquity of thy servants." Judah cried out in anguish, "We cannot return to our father without this lad. Take me instead, let him go." His heart beat against his chest, echoing the weight of a brother's love and a father's grief. Joseph's heart was stirred, deeply moved by the selfless plea of Judah. He turned away, overwhelmed with emotion, and he wept. Neither brother recognized him nor perceived that they stood before the one whom they had wronged. But he knew their hearts were now softened, forged anew by the crucible of their shared despair. "Come near to me, I pray you," Joseph at last revealed, casting aside his disguise. "I am Joseph your brother, whom you sold into Egypt." Silence fell like a thick fog, enveloping them as the truth crashed upon them with the weight of 1,000 stones. "But do not be grieved, nor angry with yourselves, for it was to save lives that God sent me before you," he continued, lifting his gaze toward the heavens. "For these 2 years the famine has been in the land, and there are yet 5 years of famine to come." His voice carried the undertones of God's divine plan woven through the ages. "God sent me to bring a remnant out of the earth, to preserve you a posterity," he proclaimed, the revelation both profound and poignant. It was in this moment of unveiling and vulnerability that God's sovereign purposes began to manifest through Joseph's trials, where darkness was met with the brilliance of divine light. The brothers, overwhelmed with anguish, could scarcely meet his gaze. But forgiveness flowed like a mighty river from Joseph's heart. "You intended it for evil, but God meant it for good." His resolve was firm, healing was at hand, but deeper dynamics yet awaited their divine new dawn. With the weight of revelation still fresh, God's vision remained, a journey still unfinished, destinies intertwined, and the legacy of faith was at the threshold of unfolding like the wings of a mighty eagle. What more awaited them in Egypt? What treasures of grace and restoration did the Almighty have in store for this fractured family? Only time would reveal the full tapestry of God's sovereign plan. And Joseph, seeing the astonishment on their countenances, pressed further, "Draw nigh unto me. Do not be afraid. The Lord has brought us to this moment for a reason greater than you can fathom." His voice rang with authority and tenderness, echoing the belief that God had indeed orchestrated every event. "Your father, Jacob, mourned for me as dead," he continued, letting the memories wash over him like a wave. "Can you now fathom how God has used my trials to bring about salvation? For the famine shall consume the land, and though it seems you have caused me suffering, it is for this very reason I stand exalted." Judah, taken aback, stepped forward, his heart heavy with sorrow. "Our sin against you weighs upon us, but my heart cries out, Brother. Do you truly forgive us?" His voice quivered, and the weight of the past hung heavily upon his shoulders, a chain not easily broken. "Indeed," Joseph replied, a smile breaking through his tears, "you have returned seeking mercy, and mercy shall be yours. For the hand of God, which allowed trials, also provides paths to restoration." As he spoke, the brothers felt the burden of guilt begin to lift, the chains of despair loosening like autumn leaves released from their branches. They glanced at one another, hope flickering where despair had dwelt. And Joseph, seeing their hearts awakened, said, "Go now. Gather my father and bring him to me. For in Egypt, there shall be provisions beyond your reckoning, and I will nourish you and your families." A sense of urgency unfolded among them, as Joseph continued, "Haste is required. Tell my father of all my glory in Egypt, and of the abundant harvests, for we are entering a year of plenty that shall outshine our years of want." The brothers, empowered by the promise of redemption, prepared to depart. But Joseph lingered, uncertain he could fully convey the depth of his emotions. "Before you go, understand this, my eyes shall look upon my father's face once more, and your lives shall intertwine with mine in the embrace of reconciliation. With all the riches of Egypt at your command, fear not what lies ahead. Trust in God's timing, for what you perceive as misfortune, he sees as an opportunity for greatness." His words intertwined with divine promise, and the brothers turned, hearts swelling with newfound faith and restoration. Their journey had begun beneath the shadow of guilt, but in the light of Joseph's revelation, they embraced hope. Days passed as they traveled back to Canaan, where their father, Jacob, awaited news unbeknownst to him. The course of their lives would never be the same. When they reached his dwelling, they told him all that had transpired, how Joseph was alive, how he ruled over all the land, and the great bounty prepared for them. Jacob's heart trembled with disbelief, but their words coursed through him, igniting a spark of joy long thought extinguished. "Is it true?" he whispered. "Can it be?" And as his sons affirmed, a wave of emotion washed over him, a mixture of hope and bewilderment. "Come, let us travel to Egypt," Jacob declared, determined to see the son he had mourned for, the son who had not only survived but thrived. And in the midst of the gathering storm of events, God's sovereign plan unfurled like an unbroken scroll. As they set forth from Canaan, the earth bore witness to a family united by trials, and the promise of reconciliation shimmered like gold beneath the sun. What awaited them upon their arrival in Egypt? What deeper revelations of God's grace would unfold in this family's legacy, and how would this reunion echo through generations yet unborn? Only the hand of God would reveal the fullness of his divine purpose. As Jacob and his sons journeyed toward Egypt, the road seemed to pulse with fervent anticipation. The sun hung low in the sky, casting golden rays that danced upon the dust of their path. Yet within Jacob's heart, a tempest brewed, a storm of yearning and trepidation. "Have I stumbled upon a mirage?" he murmured, recalling the dark days of mourning. "Is it truly our Joseph who reigns?" The weight of a father's love surged within him, mingling with the shadows of doubt. Reuben, his firstborn, walked alongside, sensing the turmoil in his father's spirit. "Father, take heart. For our brother wishes to embrace thee." It is a moment orchestrated by the Lord. The brothers, sensing the urgency of their father's doubt, rallied beside him, proclaiming the wonders of Joseph's words and the bounty that awaited them. As they crossed into Egypt, the air grew thick with the scents of spices and harvest. The grand city of Pharaoh unfolded before them like a flower in bloom, its splendor unyielding. Yet, amidst the cacophony of life, Jacob's heart remained tethered to the past. How could he reconcile the boy he lost with the man of power he was about to meet? Finally, after much traversing, they stood at the gates of the palace. The guards, mighty and stern, bid them enter. Jacob's heart beat in rhythm with the echoing footsteps on the marble floor, each step a mark upon his soul. A stillness enveloped him as they came to the great hall where Joseph awaited. As the doors swung open, Joseph stood resplendent, adorned in garments of fine linen, his countenance radiant with the wisdom of a ruler. When his eyes fell upon Jacob, the long years of separation melted like wax before fire. He rushed forward, his voice breaking through the heaviness of the air. "Father! My father!" Jacob, barely able to draw a breath, beheld the son he had mourned as lost. He stumbled forward, collapsing into Joseph's embrace, tears mingling with laughter and astonishment. "You are alive!" he gasped. With hearts entwined in joy, the brothers observed silently. Joseph, his arms still wrapped around Jacob, spoke with solemnity, "See now, father, how the Lord has been faithful. For what the enemy intended for evil, God has turned for good." This profound truth echoed through the hall, resonating in their hearts and binding them closer together. Joseph led Jacob to a seat of honor, where he recounted how God's providence had guided him from the depths of despair to the heights of glory. He shared tales of visions given in the night, of dreams that spoke of the heavens' favor. And as Jacob listened, the spirit of understanding began to blossom within him. "Joseph, my son," he said, "I see the hand of God upon you. This is not mere chance, we have been drawn to this place for a purpose." Jacob's faith flourished through his heart's unfolding. "But what of this famine? Will we face it alone?" "Fear not, for I shall provide for you," replied Joseph, his voice steady as the mountains. "The Lord has prepared a refuge for you, that you may thrive in the land of Egypt, where all shall be fed and nourished." The grace of this moment swelled, leaving all present in a sacred silence, where the very breath of God seemed to linger. The gathering of this family was not only a reunion but an unveiling of divine purpose, a weaving of grace amidst brokenness. In this embrace, what promise of salvation would emerge from their reconciliation? What legacy would be etched into the annals of time, bearing witness to God's faithfulness among the nations? As the evening sun dipped below the horizon, the shadows grew long, but within that grand hall, a light ignited, a beacon of hope flickering against the darkness of their past. Here, in the embrace of father and son, was found the promise of restoration. But just beyond the horizon lay challenges unforeseen, and the world was poised for the unfolding of God's miraculous plans, waiting in silence for the next chapter of his story to be revealed among the nations. As dawn broke over the land of Egypt, soft rays dawned upon Jacob and his sons, illuminating their weary yet hope-filled faces. The flickering lanterns cast shadows that danced with the echoes of laughter, yet the hearts of Joseph and his brethren were heavy. For while the joy of reunion was profound, they knew that great trials lay ahead. "Gather round," Joseph instructed, his voice firm yet tender. The brothers drew near him, finding solace in the warmth of familial connection. Standing before them, Joseph felt a surge of purpose within his spirit. "We stand on the cusp of something divine, brothers, for the Lord has set his plan in motion." "Tell us, brother," Judah urged, his heart pounding with anticipation. "What shall we do in this land where we have found you?" "First, let us prepare our father for what lies ahead," Joseph replied, his gaze drifting towards the entrance where Jacob sat, immersed in thought. "For the famine is still fierce, and it will last for 7 years, as was foretold in my dreams." He paused, allowing the weight of his words to settle. "But we are not without hope. The Lord has given me wisdom to gather provisions for our people." The brothers nodded solemnly, understanding the depth of their plight. Yet the air was thick with anxiety, for the perceived power of Egypt held an equal measure of trepidation in their hearts. "Joseph," Simeon spoke, his voice low. "Our father has suffered greatly. How shall we explain to him that we shall dwell in a foreign land, separated from his home? Will he not grieve anew for all that has been lost?" "Leave that to me, my beloved brothers," Joseph declared. "I shall rejoice in bringing him to Egypt, for this land will become a sanctuary for our family. Gather the best of our herds and prepare a feast, for my father must see the splendor of this place. It shall bring joy to his heart and assurance that God's love prevails." And so it was that they worked together. The brothers, united by the blood that coursed through their veins, prepared an offering for Jacob. They selected the finest goats and sheep from their flocks, each one a testament to their labor and devotion. When the preparations were complete, Joseph approached Jacob, who sat admiring the bounty laid before him. The old man's eyes sparkled with a mixture of curiosity and unease. "What have you brought me, my sons?" he asked, searching their faces for an answer. "Father," Judah replied, stepping forward with reverence. "We bring gifts from the land of Egypt, for our brother Joseph has been made lord of all the land. He invites you to come and dwell with us, that our family may thrive." A silence fell as Jacob absorbed this astonishing news. Was it possible? Torn between disbelief and hope, he whispered faintly, "My Joseph lives." With a nod, Joseph revealed himself, stepping forward from behind his brothers. "Father, it is I. The one you thought lost, now filled with life and destiny. The Lord's hand has been upon me." Tears cascaded down Jacob's weathered cheeks, glistening like pearls upon his skin. "You are alive, my son. I cannot fathom such grace." In that moment, the chains of despair shattered around Jacob's heart. "I will go," he declared. "For my son lives, and I wish to see the land of promise where God has led you." The brothers rejoiced, embracing one another with fervor. Yet as the sun dipped below the horizon once more, an unseen darkness loomed, a divine tension simmered beneath the surface. What trials awaited this family in the land of Egypt? How would they contend with the shifting tides of fate? For even amidst such joy, God's unseen hand was weaving a tapestry of justice and grace, leading them toward a future that would alter the course of nations. Thus, the sacred journey had only just begun. What covenant lay ahead as the promise of God unfolded through the lineage of Jacob? The heart of mystery beckoned onward, filled with unbroken hope. As the twilight deepened over the land of Egypt, a sense of anticipation enveloped Jacob and his sons, mingling with the warmth of their swelling hearts. The decision had been made, they would travel to the land of Pharaoh's favor. Joseph, now a man of wealth and authority, gathered provisions, ready to escort his beloved father into the embrace of his new life. With each passing day, Jacob pored over the herds and flocks, feeling the familiar weight of responsibility settle onto his shoulders like a mantle. As he prepared for the journey, he spoke to his sons, "Let us give thanks to the Lord, for his grace has delivered us from despair." "Indeed, Father," Reuben replied, "for the hand of God was upon Joseph, and now we may live." The brothers gathered around Jacob, each one offering prayers of gratitude, their voices rising like sweet incense into the heavens. As the appointed day drew near, Jacob's heart trembled. He had not walked the path to Egypt before. The memories of his loss haunted him. "How shall I journey to this land?" he murmured, standing upon the threshold of uncertainty. Yet a rustle of reassurance danced upon the breeze, as if the very breath of God whispered, "Fear not, for I am with you." With heavy steps, Jacob accompanied his sons toward Egypt, a caravan of kin united by a shared history of trials and promises yet unfulfilled. The landscape before them shifted, revealing splendid fields and majestic structures, an echo of dreams that spoke of a future that was not yet fully visible. Upon their arrival, the sons of Jacob stood at the gates of Pharaoh's palace, a place of grandeur far beyond their humble beginnings. Joseph, adorned in the robes of authority, rushed forth to welcome his family. His countenance shone with an otherworldly brightness, and as he embraced Jacob, the bonds of separation dissolved into the warmth of reunion. "Welcome to Egypt, my father," Joseph exclaimed, his voice filled with joy. "Here you shall find rest, for the ways of this land shall afford you protection. The Lord has orchestrated this moment for our salvation." Jacob gazed into the eyes of his son, and in that gaze, he was transported back to the days of his youth, wrestling with visions of destiny. "Truly, the hand of the Lord is upon us," he murmured, a confirmation of faith reigning in his heart. As they settled into the quarters appointed for them, Jacob placed his hands on Joseph's shoulders. "Tell me, son, of the dreams that brought you here, for the interpretation rests upon your lips." Joseph recounted how God had revealed through visions the future of his kin, the 7 years of plenty followed by famine, and how he was to gather grain in preparation for coming need. The brothers listened intently, understanding the magnitude of Joseph's calling, realizing that their survival hinged upon his wisdom. Yet, amid the glow of reunion and revelation, a shadow flickered at the edges of their joy, a portent that spoke of future trials and tribulations. As they feasted together in celebration, the growing tension whispered of an impending reckoning. That night, in the quiet of his chambers, Jacob sought the Lord earnestly. His prayer ascended as incense. "O God of my fathers, bless my house and my sons in this foreign land. May your promise to Abraham and Isaac endure, even as we dwell among the Egyptians." And as Jacob offered his supplication, he felt an unmistakable stirring in his spirit, a divine message that reminded him, "What is hidden will be revealed, and your purpose shall unfold in the fullness of time." With dawn breaking anew, the path before them shimmered with uncertainty yet hope, a harbinger of God's sovereign plan. What did this journey portend for God's chosen people? In the depths of silence, the answer loomed, beckoning them closer to the fulfillment of his sacred promise. For even now, the tapestry of destiny began to weave itself intricately, cloaked in mystery but illuminated by grace. As the sun rose over the land of Egypt, painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson, the family of Jacob found themselves enveloped in a newfound grace. Joseph, standing by his father's side, glanced toward the horizon, pondering the dreams that he had long cherished and the revelations yet to come. "Father," he began, "God has not only brought us here for our survival, but for a purpose that transcends our understanding." His voice was steady, charged with divine conviction. Jacob nodded, still marveling at the bounty that surrounded them. "Indeed, Joseph. The Lord's hand is heavy upon us. Tell me, what shall we do now that we are settled among the Egyptians?" Joseph called together his brothers and laid out plans that spoke to both wisdom and foresight. "We must prepare for the years of famine God has foretold. We shall gather grain during this time of plenty. We will build storehouses to preserve the harvest, that we may sustain not only ourselves but others as well." As the brothers exchanged glances, the weight of their shared burden began to lift. "This we shall do," said Judah, his voice resolute. "For if our brother Joseph has been placed in authority by divine design, let us labor with him." And thus they worked tirelessly, day after day, as the granaries swelled with grain. The people of Egypt, recognizing the hand of Joseph, began to come for aid. Each encounter echoed with anxious despair as tales of hunger reached their ears. Yet through every trial, Joseph remained steadfast, a beacon of hope in the darkening clouds of famine. As weeks turned into months, Jacob watched his sons thrive under Joseph's leadership. However, even as the grain was stowed away, a tumult brewed beneath the surface. Jacob sensed a yearning in the hearts of his sons, the lingering shadows of guilt from their past offenses towards Joseph. One evening, after a fruitful day, Jacob called his sons together. "My children, I see burdens upon your hearts. Speak, that my soul may be at peace." Moved by their father's concern, Reuben stepped forward. "Father, we have wronged Joseph and brought a great grief upon ourselves. Though the Lord has restored him to us, the weight of our guilt remains." Joseph, overhearing their words, approached quietly, his heart torn. "Brothers," he said gently, what you intended for evil, God intended for good, to save many lives. His words washed over them like a balm, yet the brothers remained haunted by memories of their betrayal. Then came a fateful day when Pharaoh's court sought wisdom from Joseph. A great famine had crossed into the land, and they pleaded for salvation. "Joseph, you are as a god to us," Pharaoh declared, "for you hold the keys of abundance." As the drought spread, Jacob could feel the tension in the air. The need for grain grew dire, yet there lingered an unspoken truth: his family would soon face trials they could not yet comprehend, linked to the very source of their deliverance. That night, Jacob sat before the Lord, praying fervently for clarity. "O God, you who knows the hearts of men, see my family's plight. What lies ahead in your sovereign plan?" In a dream, God spoke to him once again, "Fear not, for I will surely fulfill the promise I made to Abraham. You shall go down to Egypt, and there I will make of you a great nation." Awash in sleep's embrace, Jacob awakened abruptly. A new understanding flooded his heart. The divine purpose was unfolding, intricately woven within the struggles of his children and this foreign land. His sons would one day confront the very essence of their treachery. "O Lord," Jacob whispered, dawning realization cascading over him, "your ways are higher than our ways." As dawn broke, the sun cast long shadows upon the earth, illuminating the path of their journey, a pathway marked by grace and uncertainty, trials and revelations. What further news awaited Jacob and his family, burdened yet blessed, at the hands of their brother Joseph? For the stage was set, the next act in God's sovereign drama was ready to unfold, and all waited with bated breath as the tapestry of divine purpose began to reveal its intricate design. And the days indeed flowed onward, weaving a tapestry of rich experiences in the land of Egypt. The famine grew fierce, as the prophets had foretold, and soon it reached even unto Canaan, where Jacob's family struggled under the harsh weight of hunger. Their need became urgent, and Jacob, with concern etched across his brow, gathered his sons. "Why do you look at one another?" he asked, shadowed by the burden of despair. "I have heard that there is grain in Egypt. Go down there and buy us food, that we may live and not die." Thus compelled by their father's decree, the brothers set forth, uncertain, hesitant, but ultimately united by survival's call. Upon their arrival, they beheld the expanse of grain, a testament to Joseph's wisdom, yet a shadow loomed over their hearts. The memory of their past transgressions weighed heavily within them like chains. As Joseph, now the ruler of Egypt, recognized their faces, yet they did not know him, he was filled with both joy and sorrow. "You are spies," he proclaimed with authority, masking his true identity behind a veil of power. The brothers trembled at his accusation, their hearts sinking under the weight of guilt. "Nay, my lord," they pleaded, "we are but honest men returned to buy food. Our father, an aged man, and our youngest brother are the only ones left of our kin." In their responses, fear mingled with desperation, and Joseph, grappling with conflicting emotions, resolved to test their integrity. "Your words must be proven," he insisted, his voice steady yet insistent. "One of you shall remain, and the rest shall return with your youngest brother." The air hung thick with anguish as the brothers returned to their father. They recounted all that transpired, how the ruler demanded Benjamin's presence, a plea that gripped Jacob's heart. "You would bring more grief upon me," he lamented. "Joseph is no more, and now you would take Benjamin. If harm should befall him, I should die of sorrow." In the quiet moments following that heart-wrenching exchange, Judah stepped forth, resolute in his determination. "I will be a pledge for him, of my hand, you may require him. Let me bear the burden, for our lives depend on this." At last, having weighed the scales of hope against despair, Jacob relented, sending Benjamin with his brothers. When they appeared again at Joseph's court, heartbeats lingered in the thick air like a song yet unsung. Joseph, upon seeing Benjamin, was overwhelmed with compassion but concealed his emotions, sending them to dine with him in secrecy. As they feasted, joy mingled with trepidation. The brothers were mystified by their fortune, unaware of the deeper currents swirling beneath. A final test lay ahead as Joseph commanded his steward to fill their sacks and place his silver cup in Benjamin's a pretext for further revelation. When the brothers were accused of theft, their hearts recoiled in disbelief. "What shall we say?" they cried in desperation. "We are innocent. If one among us is found with the cup, let him die, and we shall be your servants." As they searched their belongings, the moment came heavy with divine suspense. As Benjamin's sack was opened and the silver cup shimmered as evidence of accusation, Judah cried out in anguish, "What are we to do? God has found out our iniquity. Take me instead of this boy." And in that moment, Joseph's heart swelled with love and forgiveness, seeing in Judah's willingness to sacrifice a transformation in the hearts of his brothers. Overcome, he revealed his true identity, the weight of betrayal met with the grace of revealed mercy. "I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. Do not be distressed nor angry with yourselves, it was not you who sent me here, but God. He sent me to preserve life, for the famine has been in the land these 2 years, and there are yet 5 years to come." The truth of his words fell upon them, a balm for their heavy hearts. Here stood not a vengeful brother, but a man of God orchestrating salvation through trials. In that profound moment of revelation, tears flowed freely. Grief, remorse, and forgiveness melded together, binding the family anew. "You intended it for evil," Joseph continued, "but God intended it for good, to save many lives." And so the brothers, transformed by the embrace of grace, positioned themselves anew as a family united under the sovereign hand of God. They returned to Jacob, bringing tidings that sang of redemption. "Joseph lives," they declared amidst joyful tears. "He rules in Egypt and has prepared for us." Jacob's heart soared as he beheld the tapestry of God's miraculous faithfulness. His lost son returned, the threads of their story woven tightly through divine providence. As they prepared to move to Egypt, the legacy of their forefathers resounded in Jacob's heart, a promise fulfilled. They journeyed as a family into the embrace of the land, a future illuminated by hope and divine purpose. Through trials endured and grace received, the family of Jacob stepped onto the pages of history, set apart to carry forth the promise of God, thereby entering into a new covenant. As they settled in the land of Goshen, they were blessed abundantly, flourishing as a people, even as the shadows of uncertainty approached. Yet they knew now, from the trials of the past, that God was with them, guiding their journey, a testament of faith and unwavering love. And thus, O beloved, may you see how the divine plan interweaves in your own life. For within the journey lies purpose. Every trial becomes a testimony, every moment a prelude to God's eternal glory. Let this story of Joseph inspire you to trust in his perfect timing, to see every challenge as an opportunity for divine victory. Now, in the spirit of this transformative message, I invite you to keep the flame of faith alive. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next powerful biblical stories filled with God's promises and truths. Leave a like now to help spread God's word through the algorithm, reaching souls in need of hope. Comment below with your spiritual reflections and let us know how Joseph's journey impacts your faith journey. And finally, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to hear God's truth and grace today. They are waiting for the good news. This is the moment to help spread biblical truth. Don't wait even one more second to share this powerful testimony and transform lives for Christ.